evening, everyone, and welcome to the Link to the Past Randomizer spoiler log tournament. We have Kyong versus relkin here in the semi-finals. How's it going, folks? I am Wolflink030, and joining me on the mic tonight is Clearmouse. How's it going?
I'm doing great. This should be an awesome game. So as you said, this is semis. Kyong is up 1-0 in this series. This is, as you can see from relkin's screen, a do-or-die game for him. He needs to win this game to force a game 3, so then they can keep playing. Otherwise, relkin's tournament's life is going to end right here.
I have a question that, because it is the semi-finals. When will we get a bronze match? But details on that. So far, Kyong has been undefeated in the spoiler log tournament. He went 7-0 in Swiss, and he swept his quarterfinals opponent, and Gyardo. Meanwhile, relkin here only lost once in Swiss, and that was in round 1, and of course he has his second loss here by Kyong's hands. So this is going to be a very intense game, and if you saw the last match, these two are fairly evenly matched. There was about a minute apart. I actually didn't see the how it ended, but it was definitely close. To give you guys an idea.
Oh yeah. In fact, actually, if you didn't end up catching the match from game 1, I highly recommend that you guys watch it. But in that game, Kyong had relkin had an early lead, and Kyong, being Kyong, clawed his way right back to victory.
Started with a hammer here, and they knew where that hammer was, folks, because they have access to the spoiler log. In case you weren't aware, from this being called the spoiler log tournament. But yeah, for those who are maybe watching for the first time, basically what that means is both runners, having given the spoiler log, they have had 15 minutes to study, which is why you saw the timer ticking down in the negatives. And they are now executing the route they have planned in those 15 minutes. They can go back to the spoiler log to study it a little bit more. And more importantly is the normal randomizer restriction of not being able to look at another player's screen is removed for spoiler log races because you already know where everything is. So there's no real point to having that.
We see some. Go ahead. Oh no, I was just gonna say, we see some actually very early divergence, but both of them are farming up some cash. It looks like Kyong taking the more traditional Houlihan route, and relkin taking advantage of part of the spoiler log to know that the bush crab is dropping 20 rupees. He's gonna get some money very quickly this way.
Indeed. And good to know that we also saw the rare crab prize, which is only available when you get a certain amount of drops.
Alright, looks like with a fistful of cash in both runners' pockets, we're headed to Kakariko.
I can see what they have to buy. Although there's only one thing of interest, and that is the bottle merchant item, if they so choose to get it. A little bit more divergence here, checking the well and blind's hideout respectively.
It's certainly interesting, because if they only wanted something off of the bottle vendor, they only need 100-ish, 100 rupees exactly, right? But but relkin ended up farming the bush crab twice, so I am curious if they want more money later on.
Well, players finding something of interest here. Kyong finding some early bombs and some arrows. relkin meanwhile finding the Quake Medallion, a sword, the glove now, and the shovel as well.
I mean, what a loaded Kakariko.
Indeed. relkin's spending some of his hard-earned money to buy some bombs. And going into Chicken House.
Meanwhile, Kyong is picking up a little bit more cash from Blind's Hut. We did not see relkin pick this up. So even more indication that they want something more than just the bottle vendor here.
Yeah, getting 300 rupees at this point, in my mind, screams Zora, which we can kind of read by their movements here. We have no idea what their route is, mind you. But we have a good idea, just based on how they're playing. Because you don't need that many rupees if you don't need to do Zora. Like, at most, you would need 210 rupees if Palace of Darkness was required and the Sea Realm was required. And as you can see, Palace of Darkness is a pendant dungeon today alongside Desert and Hera. Our tracker Yoinker's Rife already providing that information for you, courtesy of the spoiler log. There will not be a map check to that effect. We also know the medallion is required, and you can see that Bombos and Quake are both required, and we did find Quake. And also the magic mirror. This Kakariko was absolutely loaded.
Yeah, a lot of early mobility as well with this mirror here. Often, as much as the number of races I've commentated, for this tournament, I actually haven't really seen players pick up anything on the race game. So this is somewhat of a treat at least for me.
There's something at the dig spot that Relkin wants. The shovel has some purpose.
This is actually really convenient routing too. Oh, and we dig up a bow. That's pretty useful.
Yeah, of course that bow was discolored there. I'm not sure if that was just a visual glitch from something or not. But oh, okay. Let's just get silver arrows now.
Yeah, we went from bow to silvers in a matter of mere seconds in this case.
That is absolutely nuts.
One thing to observe here, Kyong ended up picking up a 10 arrow pack earlier, so once he picks the silvers up here, he will have 10 arrows to use, versus Relkin, who did not end up picking up any arrows. I'm not sure if it'll actually make a difference, but resource management certainly has been known to make or break runs here.
Well, I don't think it's going to matter too much, and the reason why I say that is because of Eastern Palace. Eastern Palace is one of the first dungeons you want to have the bow for, and there are a lot of arrow drops given that it is the dungeon you're intended to get your first bow in vanilla play. So Relkin's probably banking on that fact and is going to stock up on arrows there as he goes through Eastern Palace to clear the dungeon. And Relkin is making a trip up to King Zora, it looks like. No Moon Pearl, so Waterfall Cave's not an option here. And no flippers to get in there normally.
Yeah, that's actually a very good observation. So normally when runners do this, it's very often it's like, oh, I'm going to check Waterfall Cave, as well as on my way to Zora. Kyong, please be careful. And oftentimes runners have to remember that in order to do the fake entry into the Waterfall Cave, they need the Moon Pearl. It has not been the first time that runners have forgotten that little detail.
Kyong, I think, using a deliver jump down there to stall and also get some much-needed iframes to get through this place. One stray shot and he is done. And King Zora is a musician offering a flute.
So do you think that's worth it? 500 rupees for a flute? It's one of a kind.
Well, I say yes because, not for that comment, but more so because we don't have the boots yet. If it was the boots, that would be absolutely worth it, but this is the next best thing. Because it's just more mobility.
Yeah, we're slowly being able to maneuver our way both across world and between worlds.
Runners looking to get their flute online as soon as possible.
And you see Relkin with his sword holding out there. This is to remove the slight delay right after the bird is freed, so that he can use the flute immediately. Similar with Kyong. These guys know so many little time saves. I mean, it's stuff like this saves you maybe a second here, second there, a couple frames here, a couple frames there. At this caliber and competition level, every second matters.
Yeah, and not only that, every little bit of execution matters too. Because, again, this is a spoiler log environment, which means they know where all the heart containers, the armor, the magic powder, or the invincibility items, what we collectively refer to as safeties. Normally they pick them up as they go because they just happen to find them when they're searching for what they're missing. But in this, because they know where they are, they can choose to grab them or ignore them. And in the case of ignoring them, that leaves you more, or it makes it easier for you to die, which death is a major setback in this kind of race. It can cost you upwards of 2 minutes, depending on how bad and where you die.
The concept of dying is probably the worst thing that could happen to you in a spoiler log, because there is just no way you can make up that time. Unless your opponent dies, but as I said, at this caliber, that is very infrequent and something that you probably should not be hoping for or depending on.
No. It's very unfortunate when it does happen, though. So Kyong entering. Oh, that is clever. Using the bomb drop there to go get some extra money. And there's 10 arrows and the moon pearl. Kyong, meanwhile, picking up the magic powder. That's again one of those safeties I was talking about earlier.
So the magic powder with the hammer also does open up magic bat in case he needs to go back. So we can see in this case if Relkin ends up picking it up, because he hasn't made a trip to Hera yet.
I think we can read a little bit into the movements here. I think Kyong was just getting it for the sake of just having that safety. Relkin, being a game down, needs to save as much time as possible, so opted to get the blue potion instead. And that makes some sense. And getting back to what I was saying, going a little bit roundabout here, because Relkin's the game down, he's going to be more inclined to take bigger risks in order to shave as much time off as possible against Kyong.
Yes, certainly green mail 4 working hearts out of a total of 5 is a very aggressive route when coming to the Dark World.
Indeed. In an ideal scenario, you'd want 14 hearts green mail for Ganon, some derivative of that for...
Did you say 14 hearts?
I might be thinking MG here, which this is sort of based around. No, more so. I was thinking. I should have said 9 there. My mistake.
Oh no! I was actually just thinking. So over the course of spoiler log races, right? This is a typically low percent race. I'm sure if I remember a race where runners had probably more than like 9 or 10 hearts. Like, I mean, to get a second row of hearts is really quite rare for these types of races.
I don't know. Maybe I was thinking randomizer in general, because you don't normally find them.
Yeah, and for as you said, for these spoiler log races, right? It's also about risk versus reward. Sometimes heart containers are available or safeties are available, but perhaps in Relkin's case, as you said, he saw that the powder, even though it is a very nice safety, perhaps he needed to just shave off some more time into being slightly more aggressive, because he's down a game, and he's also against Kyong.
Yeah. If there's any time advantage Relkin can gain, it's right now. Conversely, Kyong, being a game up, probably feels a little safer, can play it a little looser in terms of his routing, and can afford to take a few more safeties, just to make sure he's consistent and gets through the game cleanly. Whereas Relkin does not have that luxury.
We see. That's right. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, I don't have anything good to say.
Sorry. It is as Relkin's file says, it's do or die for him. And we got the fire rod from Relkin, and Kyong picked up the lamp. Huh. That's telling, I think. Kyong with the lamp when the fire rod's equally available.
Yeah, we see quite the divergence here from both runners. That lamp, even though it's going to be a double dip for Kyong, to have the lamp before going into Pod and before going into Mire, where the dark rooms can be pretty dangerous, is certainly a very nice quality of life upgrade. And perhaps
from Treasure Chest game.
Yes, that's upgraded Master Sword is always really nice. As you mentioned, maybe this is just something else that Relkin is potentially going to forego, right? To take a bit more aggressive route against Kyong and not to spend more time getting something that is just a quality of life upgrade versus something that's necessity.
We do see Relkin entering Eastern Palace. This is a crystal dungeon, as is Thieves Town on Kyong's side.
Are you ever nervous to see when runners have the mirror out like this?
A little bit. These runners know what they're doing, obviously.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. I have every confidence in these guys. It's always maybe I'm just more paranoid because of personal experience. When I accidentally tap the Y button and it's on the mirror, I'm a very unhappy runner at that point.
In this case, this actually makes a lot of sense because it's another minor time save they're doing. Basically, is just not using the menus as much as they should, or as infrequently rather. Because going into the menu, changing your item just so that you don't accidentally press a single button, that takes up a little bit of time. So it goes back to what they were doing earlier with the swords with the bird statue. They're just saving what little time they can, only switching when they need to switch.
Relkin getting through this dark room of Eastern Palace very well, using his fire rod to good use there and lighting a torch. Hey, Kyong picking up his bunny form in the attic of Thieves Town. Alright, so on Relkin's side, we are going to come up to a very fast Armos kill with silver arrows, 25 in total. I don't imagine him having too many issues with this fight. And what did I say? Was there an Armos fight there? I might have missed it. As Relkin picks up his half magic from the boss.
Half magic on the boss is actually a really good safety to have. They have no invincibility to make use of it, but that does double up on the fire rod shots for cold stare. It allows them to be a little bit more liberal with magic attacks. So yeah, overall pretty alright.
Yeah, picking up half magic as a safety, as a luxury item, is certainly really nice. As you said, cold stare is one very notable boss, especially with the fire rod and up in GT Gauntlet. You can just spam that thing and get through the rooms much quicker. Meanwhile, Kyong is going through his blind fight. Looks like he is staying unscripted so far. Man, speaking of nice things being dropped on bosses, Kyong picks up the flippers off of blind and nabs his first crystal. Alright, looks like Relkin is coming back and going to retrace some of Kyong's steps here. Gonna pick up his Master Sword and presumably also will complete Thieves Town.
Well, let's see where Kyong's gonna go next. Is Kyong gonna go where Relkin did? Are they trading places? Looks like they are.
Yeah, so far, perhaps we'll see what the investment on that is. So with the exception of that Eastern Dark Room, I don't think that Relkin made his way into the basement, unless I missed it, of course. Please feel free to correct me if I just missed something there. But then so far, it seems like the lamp is still just more of a luxury item that hasn't necessarily paid off quite yet.
Lamp was in Pop President Skull Woods.
Mm-hmm.
But with the fire rod being so readily available, being in Dark Palace's map chest, they'd use that for any torches they need to light.
Yeah, and so we'll see what ends up happening with Relkin. And, perhaps in this case, he will go, because Skullwoods is a crystal, he can certainly go pick up the lamp when he clears and grabs that crystal before he ends up heading to Mire. I guess I'm just curious for what Kyung's rationale was for picking up the lamp so early. Perhaps he wanted to use it for other dark rooms here too.
I'm thinking something a little bit more devious.
What are you thinking, Wolflink? I've got my little devil horns on for you.
Well, here's the thing. We know the skill level of these two runners here. They can do the dark rooms without question. But that being said, there is one dark rooms that I personally absolutely refuse to do.
And which dark rooms are those, Wolflink?
Aga Tower.
Oh man, Dark Aga! I had totally forgotten about that tower. Why must you have reminded me?
I have a strong suspicion that Aghanim is required to see it. I'm not sure why, but I suppose we'll find out soon enough that that is actually the case. Because of course our runners know if Aghanim is required or not, and then they'll make the call when they need to make the call.
Yeah, as we see some comments here in chat, clearly they already have Dark World access, so they do not need to beat Aghanim for that. However, as you may have alluded to, there are other reasons why we may need to defeat Aga 1. I think there was also something else that was brought up in chat a little bit earlier ago. We are somewhat bereft of boots here, and seeing that the runners have done both Eastern and Thievestown without boots somewhat indicates that boots are not as easily accessible as these runners would like.
We'll see what the lamps is gonna be in store for us later. But yeah, the boots are gonna be required if Agas have any weight to it whatsoever, regardless. And we have yet to see where those are. Because at this point, the only thing Aga's locking is the Lumberjack. But there's no point in going to fight Aghanim right now unless we have the boots so we can get to Lumberjack. So it's kind of a moot point regardless of whether or not my thought is correct or not.
And yes.
If it happens, it happens, basically. Lamp does help Kyong, however, with this menuing here. It doesn't have the menu as much as Relkin did, which could save just a few minor seconds here and there over the course of the game.
Yeah, and certainly no discredit to either of these runners' skill level and their ability to do dark rooms. It's just going to be naturally faster if you don't have to pause, because you can see in the dark room versus not.
Question turning for the cape. Another safety item and probably one of the best to have with half magic.
Now, typically, before Dark World access, we're always very wary of seeing that cape because we think there might be Aga. So maybe it's also true for post-Dark World access as well. Alright.
Relkin is also going for the lamp, it looks like.
Yeah, certainly very likely that he'll pick it up since it is just on the way.
Oh no, wait! He's going to go fight Moth. I just realized he has the fire rod and Kyong did not on his first trip through.
Right, yeah, right. So Kyong ended up picking up the lamp, and he forced himself to have a double dip of Skullwoods because he didn't have the fire rod. Relkin, on the other hand, will be able to just clear this.
That could be a bit of a time save there on Relkin's side.
Yeah, as you mentioned, this is a do-or-die run for Relkin. He probably will try and route probably as aggressively and comfortably as he feels. Because, why would you want to willingly go into a moth fight with green mail and 5 hearts?
That's true, and having the half magic does help a lot. So I can see why Relkin took the route he did.
The best defense is a good offense, right? Just spam that fire rod and hope Moth dies before he kills you.
Yeah, and Relkin with the cape as well can just take a nice safety as well. Both runners have the cape now.
Alright, we see Kyong putting that cape, or maybe just the yeah, putting some safeties to good use here in Spike Cave. There must be something good here.
I would assume so too, considering I've never seen anyone go through this place. Another crystal for Relkin, and the Titan's mitts were in Spike Cave. That means the cape's required, I think, for this low level. I don't think they could have got there otherwise, and the half magic too.
Yeah, certainly it does seem like there has to be some version of an invincibility item. Given at least the output or the total number of hearts they have, just having another bottle probably would not cut it here.
No. Oh, maybe. I think with optimal movement you can get through there with 13 hearts, so with 5 hearts and 2 potions you should be able to make it. In theory, anyway.
Right, so it seems like these runners only picked up one bottle, so, you know, maybe I guess we don't really know where the other bottles are right now. Or at least maybe you do and I just don't remember. My memory is as good as a goldfish.
Ice Rod pickup for Kyong, we do need that for Turtle Rock. And the Bombos Banana, which we also need. And Relkin is also getting the lamp, it looks like. No, we're missing only one thing, actually, between our two runners now. Well, 2 things if we count the boots.
What are we missing, Wolflink?
The red cane.
We are missing... You're right, we are missing the red cane.
And
I bet tempered would be nice too.
Yeah, tempered would be nice as well. And
even more divergence from our runners here. Kyong is diving into Ice Palace. He does have half magic, fire rod, bombos, 5 hearts. Yeah, you know, he should be fine.
yeah. Now here's the thing, Icebreaker is such much of a time save here, and Kyong's going in without the Cane of Samaria.
That is a very excellent point. You know, as you said, because Icebreaker saves so much time, it's gotten to the point where runners would just absolutely refuse to come to Ice Palace unless that's their absolute last choice.
So we're gonna see I guess one could say an old school Ice Palace clear here.
Old school. Pre-Icebreaker days are old school, man. You know, it's so funny for Ice Palace, right? Because the original developer intended way for you to finish this dungeon, right, is actually to go through and solve some, you know, push some blocks, solve some puzzles, right? And then people decided, no, that was too tedious, so they came up with the Ice Palace bomb jump, and everyone was like, oh yeah, we're definitely never doing Ice Palace the old way. And then people came up with Icebreaker and like, oh no, we're never doing the Ice Palace bomb jump if we can help it. So it's just kind of really cool to see how far the community has come here.
Spawn jump is fairly precise, so I can see why some people want to skip it over something that's a little easier to perform and a lot safer too. Of course, I think the original strat was just, oh, this dungeon's puzzle is annoying, let's just get the Cane of Samaria and just skip the puzzle entirely. By just putting a block on the pressure switch. So it kind of went full circle if you think about it that way. Cane of Samaria being the initial way to skip the developer intended puzzle. And then it's just the Cane of Samaria skipping the entire dungeon.
So yeah, that's a very interesting point.
It's double hit there on the Ari. Unfortunately, the Beery's getting in the way of the hookshot there.
It's always really refreshing to see Ice Palace done the forward way. As you said, pre-icebreaker days.
Yeah. And in the chest are the boots.
We can go fast. Yeah, certainly explains why the runners couldn't get the boost before doing Eastern or Thievetown.
Needed Chinese to get in here. And because of the Ice Palace ball jump, this switch is in the proper position so that we can just push this block onto the switch.
Kyong is just about ready to drop into his cold stare fight. Relkin will follow very shortly afterwards.
Now
Looks
this
like...
is sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. Oh, yeah, I know. I was just gonna finish up by saying, looks like Kyong is actually going to opt to break cold stare shell with bombos, most likely because he is wanting to spam those fire rod shots for some safety here.
Yeah, both runners are going to be having a green mail 5-heart cold stare fight. They're going to want to use the fire rod to expedite this process severely. Cold stare is down, and that's a key on cold stare. Now, spoiler log doesn't really matter where the keys are, but in logic, a key on cold stare means this dungeon is, by logic, locked behind the Cane of Samaria.
So it seems like then, for logic, you would logically require double dip here at Ice Palace, right? You come in, you get the boots, then you go pick up your cane somewhere?
Well, that's depending on where the cane is. If the cane is before Ice Palace, you picked it up first, obviously. And we're seeing a castle play here.
30-minute Hyrule Castle dip. Something you probably only see in spoiler log races here.
Oh, wait, no, it's Aga. It is an Aga seed. And I think just from metagaming this route, you can pretty much say where the Cane of Samaria is at this point. Because there's only one reason to go fight Aghanim, and that's Lumberjack.
I thought it was to find out the number of blue balls that Aga was going to throw at you.
Maybe we can find that out too, but yeah, it looks like our Cane of Samaria is indeed on Lumberjack. Either that or the Book of Medora so that we can go get the cane. But at this point, there's only one item we're missing. And we have most of the other fetch quest items. We haven't been following them at all.
You know, despite all the progression items that these runners have, they're still climbing Aga Tower with Master Sword and 5 hearts. Just like a normal Aga seed for Dark World access.
Technically not wrong. So yeah, folks, I suppose we can get our guesses in chat here. Here for how many blue shots we are going to have today. Aghanim, of course, will have a max of 15, pending no misses from either runner, and I don't think either runner will miss a shot. And I probably just cursed them. I know that full well. I'm going to say that they only get... I'm going to say 3. I think it's going to be a little on the uncommon side, but not too much.
Yeah, you're being quite generous to our runners here. You know, I see numbers much higher than 3 in chat.
Well, normally I usually say 2, which is the odds-on most average pattern you can get. But no, I'm thinking it's going to be a little worse, just a little.
We see Kyong demonstrating his spin speed off of the staircase from that room there. Really nicely done.
So the first shot here from Aghanim is always a reflectable shot, and then it's 50-50 for the next 3, whether we get that, which is non-reflectable and doesn't deal damage, or a shot we can reflect and it does deal damage. And we got a second one there. After the process of 4, we get to the lightning attack, and that will arc down randomly through the room, and then the cycle will repeat itself. 1 guaranteed shot, 3 50-50s between a reflectable and a non-reflectable, and then more lightning.
Now, as much as everything is randomized between these two runners, the Aga patterns and Ganon patterns are fixed. So if Relkin is watching, he can take a sneak peek at what the patterns will be for Aga.
It looks like we did get at least 3. I haven't been keeping count. Yeah, I think that's 3. Because 2 at least is a guaranteed 2 cycle still. 3 is a guaranteed 3. So there we go. Aghanim is defeated for our runners. And we're going to see a flute, the mirror and flute from Kyong to 3.
With Aga defeated, Kyung's first move is to flute to 3 and go right back in the Dark World.
This makes sense in my mind because Kyong still hasn't done Skull Woods. This is where Relkin can try to make some time up. Both have done Ice Palace at this point. Both have the flute. And I believe Relkin doesn't have the Ice Rod or Bombos yet, but those are right next to Swamp Palace.
Wow, Kyong mirroring in a spot that you don't often get to see. Looks like he is going to take his prize off of Lumberjack here. This is actually really nice routing from Kyong.
Yeah, it lets his mirror portal, I believe, at the Skull Woods entrance. And there it is, the Cadence of Mario. That is go mode for Kyong at 36 minutes and 4 seconds.
That blue guard there giving him a bit of trouble. Kyong trying to get back into his portal to finish up Skullwoods.
Yeah, that blue guard's not normally there, but that is something that happens when you defeat Aghanim, is that you get into basically a hard mode version of the light world. So there's a lot more guards all over the place. And Eastern Palace, of note, is just absolutely littered with guards. It's kind of a nightmare when you're playing inverted, honestly.
It's kind of a nightmare in general. You see all these like new blue and red guards. They're just not there to give you a good time.
Nope. Alright, Relkin has the Cadence of Mario. Going to save and quit now. Possibly entering Swamp.
Yeah, after Kyong beats Mothula here, we'll definitely have a good sense of what the time bit difference is between these two runners.
Yeah, because I believe Relkin is heading into Ice Palace next.
Yeah, Kyong demonstrating his NMG style moves there, hitting the Gyarados next to a spike for optimal damage.
And I'd say, based on time and positioning, I want to give the lead just barely to Relkin because he's in a better position to start doing one of the 3 missing dungeons, which is his Swamp. That is Gobo now for Relkin at 37:58.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you here. Relkin is very close to the next dungeon that he wants to do, which is Swamp, as you said. Kyong still needs to get out of Skull Woods and go back to the Hype Cave area, or at least that portal. Relkin needs to survive first to get to Swamp.
Well, Kyong can also have to go to Misery Mire. But no, looks like he is going to go to Swamp Palace. So now we have a clear indication who's in the lead, and that is Relkin by Looks to be about half a minute to a full minute. We'll see based on entry into Swamp.
Yeah, honestly, it's actually just probably the powder pickup difference for these two runners. All that's said and done. To answer your question in chat, the powder was in Pennant Hera. When runners were up in Death Mountain first, Kyong opted to pick that up in the first chest of Hera, whereas Relkin did not.
Yeah, and I don't think that's the full loss of the time here. I think the major loss of time here between Kyong and Relkin is Kyong went to the Skullwoods area twice, whereas Relkin did it only once. So I think Relkin had the slightly better route here. He didn't opt to pick the powder, sure, but you can easily just but that is just easy snag and mirror from both of the runners. And that's no more than maybe 10 seconds at most going into Hera. That's nowhere near the length here between the two runners. And I believe we have about a... Yeah, we've seen it in chat here. It's about a minute and a half difference. Maybe 40 seconds, Edie. I can't do math right now.
It's quite alright.
It is a later commentary session for me, so.
But certainly, though, keep in mind these runners are incredibly capable and don't give any edge up. I mean, like, just even the smallest amount of execution difference from these runners can certainly make a leap change. And there's still plenty of dungeon endgame left to play.
Yeah. Roughly picking up a couple of safety hearts there. Was at 1 heart. Could have died. Very nice. And Roken already at full health. Just picking up some hearts along the way.
Yeah, both runners are giving us an excellent demonstration of Diver Down. No time lost or gained for both these runners here so far, it looks like.
Yeah, it's gonna be way too close to call. I think Kyong has made us some time, though, just through execution alone.
Oh, you mean Kyong's being Kyong? Got it.
Pretty much.
Alright, we do see Roken starting his Argus. Wow! That was a triple! You don't get to see that often. Roken obviously showing his skill here. But this is going to be another fight that could make and get some time back for Kyong here. It looks like Kyong's going to start his quick kill, doing very nice.
Get another puff returned. Silver arrows, 1 shot, 1 kill. It is almost a full crystal grab cutscene between these two runners. They've evened it up. Roken out of the dungeon at 42:08.
Yeah, I want to say that Kyong ended up picking up some time here on Relkin in Swamp Palace.
Kyong out at 42:24. That's a 16-second difference. That is a lot of time gain from Kyong.
Oh man, I don't know. I can only assume that Kyong was counting his heart pieces there, but he ended up getting a 6th heart container from that last heart piece pickup.
Very well executed there. Kyong using his flute, which is not currently tracked, to get to Misery Mire. Still no eyes on the Tempered Sword yet, which would be another big difference in combat for our two runners.
We see a very well executed Mire 2 room there on Relkin's side, using sword beams and fire rod to his advantage. One very strong indicator of how good runners are is how well practiced they are at that room. Just like Kyong, expected no less from somebody like him. He is also just going to tear right through Meyer here.
Yeah, that makes no sense. And a big key right there. That small key around the room around the corner. That is the fastest. That is the fastest Meyer we can possibly have.
No Dark Spooky for either of our runners today. That will certainly save them some time. Looks like at least the lamp investment for both runners are going to be on equal footing here.
And geez, there's a lot of factors to this race that are going to compile here.
Yeah, both runners absolutely keeping their cool, executing to their best. You see no slip-ups from really either side here. I'm just not going to watch Relkin screen. As he's made a slight, that pit has actually claimed more runners' hearts than is ever expected.
Is Vitreous down? Kyong in the fight, just as Relkin picks up the crystal. I don't think there's any time gain or time lost per se here. Mirror and a flute to one now to go to Turtle Rock.
Alright, so that was 45-47 coming out of Meyer for Relkin. 45-59-ish.
Keeping that 16-second pace. Dead Rocks being a little bit of an issue here. Relkin needs to be careful.
Oh no, oh no. Relkin got Dead Rock the last run too.
That did just eat up a lot of the lead. They are now within seconds of each other. We're gonna do another time sync here when they get up there. The fade outs are within like, it's gotta be within 5 seconds. I can't even tell.
Yeah, those
Same time, they're synced. They are synced.
Yeah, those Dead Rocks really did a number on Relkin here.
And they're not helping him either here. Kyong takes the lead just barely because of Dead Rocks.
Yeah, this is so close.
Dead Rock being opened by both of our runners now. It could still come down to just a whole bunch of factors here. A death for Kyong will put Relkin in the lead. And oh man, it's just way too close to call, really.
Yeah, I mean, just like Relkin had some unfortunate Dead Rock, there is still lots of RNG left in this game. Lead changes can change very quickly. That's a nice quick keep. Yeah, and as Chad is pointing out, Relkin probably has to also play a little bit more conservatively, given that he only has 1 heart, whereas Kyong has a full, healthy 6 hearts. Granted, they still are on green mail, so there are lots of things that will still one-hit KO them, but I believe Kyong has a little bit more safety in this case. Oh. Relkin remembering to have some foresight to pick up an extra heart so he could take the shorter way to be able to get through that torch room there. If he only had 1 heart, he could not hook shot and take damage and fall.
Yeah. And if he did, he'd have to take the potion, which would just eat him so much time right now. The potion cutscene would actually put him even further behind than anything else would.
It's really amazing at this level, right? You know, it's like normally it's like, oh, it's like a fairy cutscene or it's a healing cutscene. That can actually make the difference for these runs. Normally it's just like, oh, it's just another, you know, couple seconds here, right?
Every second matters right now for Relkin. He needs to get ahead of Kyong, and Kyong is playing absolutely perfectly. There has to be a major mistake on his part in order for Relkin to even have a chance of catching up here. And it still could happen. 6 hearts going into the Ganon fight without armor is not assured.
Yeah, and assuming that these runners don't pick up the Tempered Sword before then, Master Sword Ganon is not a... It doesn't always have to be a consistent fight for runners.
Oh, Relkin trying to dodge the bunny beam so he doesn't get hit!
Relkin, you are so resourceful. Way to think on your feet there to pull out the cape.
That certainly ate up a lot of time to do so. Oh, there's the snipe from the shooter! That's a death for Relkin. Now, it's still not over yet. If Kyong dies to Trinex, this could be a major difference. But if Kyong is watching, he knows he's ahead. And can afford to take the shortcut safety just to keep himself alive.
Yeah, I think I've also must have missed it on Kyong's side, but it looks like he has somewhere picked up another heart container to kind of pad his safety buffer.
Yeah, it was in Crystal Roller Room.
Yeah, echoing chat sentiment here, never give up here. Relkin, while he did take an unfortunate death and did lose some amount of time, there is actually really no reason why Kyong can't, something similar can't happen to Kyong. I know I would never wish it upon him, but another death could happen unexpectedly. It is not the first time that snipers have been sniped by Trinex.
Yeah, Trinex can easily kill. Ganon, Kyong is still in a one-shot territory from Ganon. There's still a lot that can happen here still. It's not over yet.
Until you see the dot done from your opponent's side, you keep playing.
Indeed. Nice dodge there.
Yeah, that half magic pickup way back when is certainly coming in handy here for his Trinex fights. Especially if you're a Master Sword or you have to do hammer fights.
Young did miss the initial hit there on the head. But that is Trinex down. And folks, we have a game we have to play real quick here, but I'm going to put my twist on it. We have 22 chests in Ganon's Tower, but only one of them can have the big key. But the runners know which chest it is, so instead of giving us a number in chat like we usually do, give us the specific chest you think the big key is in today.
Alright, meanwhile, Relkin is about to start his Trinex fight. One thing to kind of note about runners here and how they can effectively use the hammer's hitbox is kind of wonky. And so to be able to, I believe, hit up or with the hammer versus hit down is a lot more reliable. Man, that ice head just does not want to cooperate here with Relkin.
It does not indeed. He's eating up more precious time that relkin needs in order to catch up. Oh. Almost got checkmated there by Trinex. And Dark Magician Dream has the Tempered Sword.
That is always something really nice to be able to see for runners. You don't have to do Master Sword spins. Saves a ton of time on Ganon.
And it looks like Kyong is just going to move on here. Ruffin now with his final crystal. We'll be entering Ganon's Tower shortly. This is way too close to call. I know Kyong's in the lead, but any sort of anything that goes wrong on Kyong's side just ties it up immediately.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we're gonna see something behind Ice Armors now.
On the way back here for a reason.
Yeah, and given that the Tempered Sword was on left side GT, and you have to come down to not Ice Armos, apparently, you have to come out to at least that general vicinity. It certainly makes routing sense to be able to pick up that Tempered Sword along the way, versus you're gonna go straight right.
It was in fact Bob's chest, folks, and more guy Nice 84 did guess correctly. Congratulations. Broken Man while looting the other chests in the Staffos room here.
Alright, Kyong, Silver Arrows in hand, is ready to, or is at least progressing through the gauntlet very quickly. Relkin is not as far as behind as he may seem. He's just needs to go pick up the GTP key. Relatively, he'll have that relatively soon, and then he'll be able to start his gauntlet.
Let's try for Kyong. And
Yeah.
Curious when the males are. That is actually a good question. I can look.
Alright, kind of with that exception of that first room with the Zyzax, Kyong's later gauntlet rooms have been very quick and cooperative. Very nice lane mode 2 fight with Silvers.
I think it is safe to divulge to our viewers here what the armor is. Don't you think, Clear Mouse? Should we let them know?
Yeah, sure. Do you have the spoiler lock handy?
I do have it handy. And I'll tell you this right now, folks. One of the armors was underneath the bridge of Hylia, held by the hobo. The other one was in the big chest of Palace of Darkness, which, as you can see, is a pendant dungeon, and they only had to go in there for the fire rod. Other notable things here is the Cane of Burna was also here in Ganon's Tower, so the cape was forced to get the Titans' Trying to remember where it is right now. Oh, it was in the compass room, so.
Cane of Burna versus Tempered Sword. Which would you pick?
Tempered sword every time. At this stage, tempered sword. Cane and Virtus, unfortunately, lost its purpose at that point. Oh, the Force Sword? Oh, we weren't gonna get the Force Sword today. Not unless we wanted to go and fight our lovable Moldorms down there to get the green pendant, so that we can go turn it in for it. Force Sword was on Sahasrara.
Yeah, these Lambos are really just bigger Moldorms. Alright, Relkin is about to do some of the most satisfying rooms in the game here in GT. Meanwhile, Kyong is on his Agatu fight. Patterns have not seemed to be super friendly so far. Man, Relkin is just not getting good luck here with some of these enemy RNG patterns.
Now, in terms of other bottles, I can go into divulge this as well. We had one bottle with the blue potion, which we both have. Floating Island had a bottle with a gold bee in it. And then the other two were in Mini Moldorm Cave. One had a bee, and the NPC had the other one, and it had another gold bee in it. Anyway, the Ganon fight's happening right now. 12 slashes or 6 spins a phase to advance it to phase 3, in which we need 4 more slashes to get to phase 4. And that's when the torches matter.
Kyong very excellently executing to get through the most dangerous phases of Ganon. Has half magic, does not need to get torch glitch, but you know, it's always kind of nice to see.
For the shot here. Okay, waiting for Ganon to move down. That looks to be a double based on the position of Ganon. And Ganon kind of have to move over to the left to get a third hit in without having to relight the torches. Ladies and gentlemen, get your GGs in chat for Kyong, who will be moving on to the finals of the Spoiler Log Tournament. Still undefeated in this tournament. And that is GG's and a finish time officially in first place with a time of 1 hour, 16 minutes, 40 seconds. Do bear in mind, however, that that finish time does count for the 15 minutes of study time prior to this race, which means the actual race time is, as you see on screen, 1 hour, 1 minute, and 40 seconds.
Yeah, excellent run here by Kyong. He just played a solid game throughout. Very, if any, probably mishaps for him. Just beautifully executed all throughout. Meanwhile, Relkin is dropping down to his Ganon fight.
Yeah, and Relkin did what he had to do in order to win this, and for the most part, it was working. He was in the lead, but just got really bad luck with the Dead Rocks to start things off, and then the death in Turtle Rock kind of sealed the deal at that point. Getting sniped by the shooter turret.
Yeah, Relkin himself also just played a really nice game in general. As you said, minus those couple mishaps. Relkin, I mean, everything else Relkin did was just wonderful.
Really well.
This
Yeah, and
might
yeah.
be a triple, not quite.
And really, to go against somebody like Kyong, who is undefeated for someone like Relkin, to have it this close is still, you know, it's it's understated for how well these two runners are.
GG's in chat for Relkin, who is finished now with an official time of 1 hour, 18 minutes, 41 seconds. Again, taking the study period into account with that, so it's an actual time of 1 hour, 3 minutes for actual race time. And we are now joined by the winner, Kyong. GG's to you. Congratulations on this. This was a great seed to watch.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, GG's Kyong, congratulations on another victory. And moving on to the finals of the Spoiler Tournament. How do you feel?
Pretty great, although I didn't feel like I deserved that one, but I'll take it. Overall, this past two, well, mostly these last two seeds, I definitely didn't feel like I routed that well. Relkin overall definitely routed better. But in both seeds, the late game was pretty rough execution-wise.
Yeah, just not having armor in this seed because it was so out of the way. We did mention in chat where the armor was, and it was just, those were just some bad locations for armor.
Yeah, I half considered going to Hobo after Ice Palace, but I mean, at that point I was already behind, so I couldn't really justify it, so I just, if Relkin wasn't getting something, I wouldn't get it either. Except that fourth piece of art, I guess, but...
And yeah, that art piece was pretty critical of you, and that gave you a lot of health to basically stabilize this entire race. Like, your execution was on point. I didn't see you any point in which you were in danger.
Yeah, so you end up getting the powder pretty early. Was that a conscious decision on you, Kyong?
Not really. Because of the way I routed the beginning, I didn't have bombs, and I didn't really have a good opportunity to get it. I was kinda considering buying some after the flute, but I didn't do that either, so I was like, okay, I know the one place I have on my, in quotes, on my way, because this is really on my way to get a guaranteed bomb, so I may as well just grab the powder there while I'm there, even though it was basically useless.
I mean, safety is safety as far as I'm concerned. I'll take whatever I can get. I'm not at your level, let's be honest. I'm gonna be honest there.
I mean,
Yes,
definitely, even though I didn't really use it, because even GT I used it for 2 hearts and lost 1, was ended up doing nothing pretty much. Even though it wasn't useful, it does let me push harder. For example, I knew like in Mire, if I took and damage, random damage, I could heal before Vitrus just in case. I could, heal before Trinex if needed, so that made me be able to push a little bit harder and take a little bit more risk on the execution side.
I have heard from Relkin chat. He will not be joining us in an interview, but GG's to him all the same. Put on an excellent race for us, and I need to check something real quick. So while I'm doing that, Relkin, or not Relkin, sorry, Kyong.
we know who it was.
We saw you go to Skullwoods and essentially just double that area. How was your thoughts on the routing at that point?
Right.
Walk us through
Yeah,
that.
my initial route, I had me going to Moshul a bit later, but I was since I kind of forgot that we need to go to that region to get some Maria anyways, so that I ended up not really gaining any benefit of doing that in 2 passes. Basically, I was a little bit scared of Mothula, but I also forgot that we would have half magic by then. A lot of my route ended up being, oh, right, this could have been better if I remembered that I had half magic at this point. So that was basically why. Like, I was expecting to do Mire and Swamp and stuff before coming back to Skullwoods.
On to our finals here, and it looks like I'm looking at the challenge log here. It looks like Relkin will not be having a bronze match, as far as I can tell. So that means Relkin will not that means Relkin's tournament is over. And you will be facing the winner of Aussie versus Zelda, which, by the way, folks, I'm going to go ahead and mention this. Is now that series is starting up Thursday. We don't have any sort of restream time at the very least, but it looks like it's going to be starting up Thursday. So, if you want to see Game 1, it'll be Thursday around 7 o'clock Eastern. So, it's going to be a hype match. The winner of that match will be fighting Kyong here for the final, for the grand finals.
Any thoughts for who you want your opponent to be, Kyong?
Oh, well,
Or is it putting you on the spot?
I never raced Aussie before, but I know on the execution fight he definitely takes a slight lead, which definitely makes the race interesting. And Zelda is just, he played so many of these, raced so many of these before, and so no matter what, I think it's gonna be a good race.
Looking forward to it, honestly. The finals are soon, and I can't wait to see who you face, Kyong. Because we've said it earlier, you are currently undefeated in this. I think I'm actually excited to see you just completely sweep this tournament. I'm not trying to jinx you or anything, mind you,
No
but I am
pressure,
excited.
Kyong.
I definitely wasn't expecting that to happen, honestly, because the thing is, like, the skill ceiling of this mod is so high, and I definitely don't feel like I'm even close to what the full potential of this category you can get to. So that's why I maybe don't expect as much from myself, but it's just really tough.
And so I think this has been pointed out by other commentators and runners, is that among your, even though you have very excellent execution and routing skills, one thing about you is that you are very consistent in execution and routing, and so that can certainly still give you a very good edge among other players.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, either way, the finals, which will be scheduled next week, should be a very great series to watch. Looking forward to it, both from a player's perspective, runner's perspective, and a viewer's perspective.
Make sure to follow Kyong here as well as Relkin. They put on an excellent race for us tonight, an excellent series, in fact. And Kyong, once again, will be going into the finals of the SwearLog tournament here. Of course, make sure to also follow SpeedGaming, SpeedGaming 2 through 6, so you don't miss any racing action, not just the SpoilerLog tournament. And also make sure to follow my co-commenter Clearmouse. Did an excellent job keeping me honest in the booth here, honestly, because I did have a little bit of a slip up. With 14 Arts Green Mail. What was I thinking? I was probably thinking energy. And of course, to our tracker, Yoinker's wife, for keeping those items up to date for you as well. And you can go ahead and give me a pause as well. I have been Wolfling070, and from all of us here at the SpoilerLog tournament, we will see you all next time, and thank you for watching. Have a good night, everyone.
GG's Kyong, GG's Relkin, you guys are in a great race.